Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutakabbala. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. So here we are with our session number 258 for Quranic Arabic grammar, in which we are learning Mud'ab. This is a topic that we started in our last session. Today we are going to complete, inshallah, this topic, Biznillahi ta'ala. So let's begin. So we have covered that Mud'ab is one of the types of going to be one of the types of fail based on root letters, in which there is going to be ain and lam kalima the same. You will find the second and third letters being the same, and that fail that has second and third letter which is the same is going to be called mudaf. It is categorized under Sahih Af'al. It is one of the subdivision of Sahih Af'al, and we were learning some rules pertaining to mudaf in our last session. We have learned in the previous session, if the mudaf is showing a fi'l that is lazim, if a mudaf is representing a lazim fi'l, it is probably going to be from bab daraba. If a fail that is recognized as a fail that is mutaaddi, the bab of that fail is going to be nasara, right? In case of your fail madin, they are going to look the same in sulasi mujarrad. So it is very important that you have this piece of information with you, that in case of mud'af, which is lazim, it is probably from the Raba clan. If the mudaf is representative of a fail that is mutaaddi, that can take a mafulun bihi, that's probably coming from Bab Nasara. And this you have learned as one of the special features of Bab Nasara when we were going over our family one. That family one, Bab Nasara, mostly has af'al that are mutaaddi. They can take mafulun bihi, right? So then we also learned that your mudaf can sometimes come from bab samia, and you are very well familiar with these af'al. If I asked you real quick, in case of daraba, nasara, what is the haraka on ainul kalima? Can and samia. In case of bab daraba, nasara, samia, what is the haraka on ainul kalima? Can somebody remind me in case of past tense? In case of past tense, which haraka is going to be there? It is going to be kasra for bab samia, right? In samia, there is going to be the ainul kalima with kasra, but for daraba and nasara, the fail madin is going to be having a fatha on second root letter or ainul kalima, right? And we have covered from the beginning of our surf, and particularly when we were learning form 1, the king of form 1 is Ainul Kalima. Remember, always remember, the king of Form 1 or Sulasi Al Mujarrad is going to be Ainul Kalima. Whatever happens, it only going to happen on Ainul Kalima in Form 1. So make sure you are you pay special attention to your Ainul Kalima. You will notice there are special features of Ainul Kalima in the rest of in the Mazid Fihi as well. You will notice that Ainul Kalima is very important in Mazid Fihi as well. But inshallah, for today's session, I would like you to be reminded of the fact that in case of your mudaf, you are going to see it coming from three main abwab of as-salasi al-mujarrad, and you already now by this time you should know babe noon, babe dot, babe seen, right? The three are there. One resource says that instead of calling bab samia, they say that mudaf comes from bab fataha, but we don't need to go into the disagreement about whether it is samia or fataha. Okay, for now, for most authentic resources have three main abwab for mudaf. Those are going to be samia, daraba, and nasara. I hope I made myself very clear to you all and you understand this concept. Okay, so now I have shared with you a couple of hours ago a slide pertaining to the rules that are going to be applied on this part of the surf, which is mudaf. Okay, so in the previous session as well, we went over if you have two identical letters that are voweled, they have a haraka like a fatha, dhamma, or kasra, and there is a letter before them. There's a letter before them that is also voweled. It is going to undergo the first letter, the first of the two identical letters is going to undergo a change. Can you all remind me what change is it going to undergo? Yes, it will lose its haraka. It will drop its haraka or lose its haraka and take upon itself a sukoon and will get fused into the next letter. It is going to get fused into the second letter, right? So Madada from Nasara clan, what happened here, the first step is the first dal of the two identical letters lost its haraka. It dropped its haraka, right? And then it got fused or merged into the second letter, right? Into the second letter. I hope this point was clear to each and every one of you. The second point that we were covering in our previous session was now the situation is there are again two letters that are identical, that are similar, mutamathilain, like in word ahabba. The situation is little different now. The letter before them is no longer having a haraka. Now the letter before is sakin. So what happened? There was something that we covered in the last session, if you can remember. There will be, first of all, there will be there will be nakal, right? There will be a nakal, right? There will be a haraka given by a first of the two identical to the sakin letter before, and the sakin letter is now going to take upon itself a sukoon, and again it's going to merge into the second letter, right? There is going to be a nakal and then idgham, right? A nakal wal idgham. You all remember that? It seems like you all remember that. Now the situation is the same. Their two letters are the same, they are identical, both are mutharik, both are voweled. However, the sakin letter before is no longer a sahi letter, it is a mad letter, and the mad letters are alif, waw, and ya. Now, what is going to happen? If there is mud letter before the two identical letters that are voweled, there is no transfer, there is no knuckle. It is going to just be simply the same thing that happened with the first word madda, right? The same thing is going to happen. It's not just going to drop its sukoon and get merged into the second letter. It's going to be idgham without knuckle as you are writing, and that is a good answer, right? Very well done. So now what happens if there is now listen carefully. This we may have not reviewed as a rule of mudaf, but now we are going to learn it as a rule of mudaf. So now the situation is that there are two similar letters, they have come together. The first is sakin, the first is sakin. Now what is going to happen when this situation happens where the first is already sakin, the first is already sakin, the first is going to be merged into the second letter. It's going to fuse itself with the second letter, which is identical letter, and it's going to be written with a shadda. There is a fusion, there is an idgham. Okay, without any dropping of haraka, without any nakal, it's just going to be pure idgham. Is this clear to all of you? How many of you have understood? Okay, so I think this is becoming a little bit easy for you all, alhamdulillah, so far, right? The last situation is the situation that we need to take a deep dive into. We have covered few of all, and I want you to review the same thing one more time with me so that you are all with me. Okay, so here when I hope I have marked everyone's attendance, and there are 22 students. And if I just want to remind Sister Faiza, if you can take a note of who is in the class. I will appreciate that. Okay. So when you saw radda and raddata, every word from 1 to 5, which rule got applied on every word from 1 to 5, and you can see it on my slide as well. We applied rule number 1, where the two letters were side by side, both were mutaharrik. It was radada, radada, radadu, radadat, rada, rada, radadata, right? Everyone, you have understood it like that, right? Is this how if it was no idgham or you never knew anything, the words were just like radada, radada, radadu, radadat, radadata. It's very sakil on tongue, right? It's very hard on tongue to just say dal so many times. So the easy way is that, instead of keeping the haraka of the two, the first one is going to lose its haraka and get merged into the second one. And this is where you see there is rule number one being applied to your af'al, fail madin from 1 to 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have which rule applied to them? Rule number one, right? Rule number one. And rule number one is where both letters are identical and both are mutaharik. Radadna, radadna, up until radadna. Are the two letters identical? Yes, they are both identical. But are they both mutaharik? Are they both mutaharik? They are not both mutaharik. So what do we see? What do we see? Since they are not mutaharik, Since they are not mutaharrik, there is no idgham, and when there is no idgham, the term for no idgham is going to be fakku idgham, right? So here, because from noonun niswa to na'ul fa'ilin, there is the two letters are not voweled. So we are seeing fakku idgham, right? I hope this is clear to all of you, right? Alhamdulillah. So anyone has any confusion about this table, fail Madin table? Everyone will be able to identify everything what happened in. And also, you also noticed one thing is that all these pronouns, it's easier. The easier way to memorize things is that when the two letters are not identical, when two letters are identical, however they are both not mutaharrik, I'm going to see fakku idgham. Okay, the rule is not going to be applicable anymore. Okay. Here it is not applicable, okay? And you also always see it for, these af'al are followed by pronouns that are mutharik, like noonun niswa or taul fa'il or your naul fa'ilin. Told you to focus on the haraka of the na, right? The first noon, right? So now I hope this is clear. And in here, in fail mudari, the entire table, yardudu, right? The original word was yardudu, right? But here, which rule is being applied? It's not rule number one. Now tell me. You are going to apply your rule number two that you just learned and you just reviewed actually. In here, the rule number two is being applied. You notice here, it was originally yardudu, right? Yardudu. But then the two sakins and no, sorry, the two mutamasil are together, both mutaharrik, so it's going to, there will be an exchange of haraka. Dal is going to give its haraka to ra. Ya is going to, ra is now going to become mutaharrik, and dal becomes sakin and gets merged into the next letter, which is the similar letter. And this is how this rule works, right? Everyone with me so far? Alhamdulillah. Okay. Now, in case of tardudna or yansurna or tansurna. In case of tansurna or in case of yansurna, ain and lam, are they both mutaharrik? First of all, there is nunun niswa there, but in af'al with nunun niswa, there is going to be fakku idgham. Why there is going to be fakku idgham? Because the original two identical letters, are they mutaharrik? That is my question. They were both not mutaharrik. When they are not mutaharrik, when first is mutaharrik, the second is sakin, you are going to see fakku idgham. Is this clear to all of you? Alhamdulillah. I hope you're not just saying to make me feel happy about myself. You are understanding the concept as well. Okay. So the first rule and the second rule, I think, is clear to most of you, or if not all, right? So now I have to move to the next one. And the next one, I think, maddan. How is word maddan? Maddan. Why it is not madadun? Is everyone madun? Not madadun. If it was madadun, it is not going to be. There is going to be no. There's no possibility of idgham. Do you remember in case of an ism? In case of an ism, when the word is an ism, and the ainul kalima is mutaharrik, will there be idgham? There is no idgham, right? The words are going to be written separately. If ainul kalima is mutaharrik in case of ism, the rule cannot be applied. Have you ever heard of madad? Madad. What is the meaning of madad? Help. Very good job. Madad is help. Why is it not? There is no idgham that you see in madad? Because the ainul kalima has a fatha, right? Because your ainul kalima had a fatha and the word was an ism, therefore, therefore, idgham cannot take place. When you read word maddan ma, do you see idgham in case of maddan ma, the first maddan? You see, yes, you see it. So what will be the haraka of ainul kalima? If I have to ask you, in this ism, maddan ma, the first one, the original haraka is sakoon. That is why there is an idgham, and it is mandatory idgham. That is the rule number 4. It is the rule number 4 where you will find a mandatory idgham in in a word where two letters are identical and the first is sakin. Okay? I hope this is clear to all of you. Is it? Now, when you were learning about idgham wa naqal, I gave you this example, and I think I may have spoke in the last session that, and may have said it under rule number 1. But this jal baba, if you have to apply the rules of idgham, which rule can be applied to this word? Forget about exception. Which rule should be applied to this word? It is going to be rule number 2. Sister Faiza, what made you think that if there was any possibility, only rule number 2 can be applied? What made you think of that? What made you think of that, that here in word jal baba, if there is ever a possibility of application of a rule of muda'af, it can be rule number 2, because the letter before the two identical letters was a sakin. Very well done. Very well done. Because the letter before is a sakin letter. The letter before is a sakin letter. Therefore, you have to go to rule number 2, but rule number 2 is not going to be applied here. Okay, so this was one exception that I want you to keep in mind. Okay, for this session, or for entire surf, it is very important that each and every one of you know the spellings of your family one, all the spellings that you have covered with me. You should be very well familiar with the spellings of your big families. If you are still not very well versed with those, this session can be very hard for you to, to understand. But if you are very well versed with your surf that we have already completed, and you know this all the spellings, this session is going to be, inshallah, piece of cake, inshallah. Okay, so rule number 1, 2, and 3, and are almost, we have already gone over all of them. um, and now it is the time for rule number 5. Okay, so it is almost about time for rule number 5. So rule number 5, we did not, focus on it in the last session very much. So today we are going to, learn more about it. So think about your failul amr. Think about your failul amr. What happens to the haraka of the last letter in failul amr? If it is anta, if it is anta, and this is only the case when it is anta, then this is going to happen. The last letter, the last letter is going to be jazm, and it's going to lose its haraka. So if the word, if the word was originally, so just start from the start. So originally you have this word like tamsasu, right? Or tamassu, or you can start from tamassu, right? In tamassu, the first, what's the haraka? What is the haraka on the first scene? What is the haraka on the first scene? It is sakin, right? It is sakin. And the second scene has a dhamma. When while making while making While making Filul Amr from Tamassu, the first step is to remove the Ta, and I did here, and it becomes Masu. When I open it up, so the first scene is Sakin, the second scene is Dhamma. Now, the next step is I have to make it Majzoom, right? I have to make it Majzoom. When I make it Majzoom, the second scene is also written with Sakin. Now, how I'm going to pronounce it? The two sakins are coming together. I have to give them a haraka to pronounce it, right? So what can happen is, this is all you need to know in this session, and this is what your rule number 5 is about, that you can give the second sakin a fatha. It is the lightest, it is considered the lightest of all haraka. This is one possibility. This is one possibility, that you give your seen a fatha, which was jazm, which was majzoom, which was written with sakoon. The second possibility is you can give it a kasra, because most of the time when the haraka, when the letters are sakin, which is the most common haraka given to that letter? The sakins. When something is sakin, you give it a kasra. When something is sakin, you give it a kasra. So the second option for your seen that was sakin is, you can give it a kasra, and it becomes masi, massa, masi, right? And these are the only two options for your failul amr when it comes from daraba or samia clan. Okay, most sources are going to say that, when the failul amr is from bab daraba and samia, the two options for the idgham, the two idgham options are going to be either fatha or kasra. When your failul amr comes from bab nasara, when your failul amr comes from bab nasara, you can have fatha, like in word rudda. You can have a kasra, like in word ruddi. You can have a dhamma as well, like in word ruddu. Mudda, muddi, muddu. There are three possibilities for bab nasara when there is an idgham. Is this clear to all of you? I want all of you to understand this, that this dal became sakin. Now you have an option. In case of nasara, you can have fatha dhamma kasra. For bab samia or daraba, two options only. Either give masa fatha or make it masi. Okay, the scene can get a fatha or kasra. Okay, then your muda'af from your sulasi al-mujarrad can also have hamzatul wasl. In that case, in that case, merging of letters is omitted and it is going to be written as a normal fi'lul amr, like in word urdud, imsas, ifrir. Are they normal? Do they sound like unsur, isma, idrib, right? They sound like normal, right? In case of hamzatul wasl, what is in remove? What is eliminated? There is going to be elimination of idgham, and there is going to be fakku idgham, and your failul amr is going to sound like your standard failul amr for bab nasara, sami'a, daraba. I hope this is clear to each and every one of you. Rule number 5, how many of you are have an understanding? Okay. So now I have another question for you. Do you see majzoom status only with failul amr, or there is something else that can also be majzoom? Yes. So in case of lam or la, what are the possibilities that what gets majzoom by lam and la and in and all those? There is a mudare that can also be majzoom. So all those mudares, like your here, if I show you this yeruddu, how many options are there for yeruddu when it is majzoom? So in case of yeruddu, because of the dhamma, because of the dhamma, because of the dhamma, there are going to be, there are going to be, so some are saying 2, some are saying 3, some are saying 4. So what should we do? Hmm? What should we do? So should we say that in here you can possibly have it with fatha, you can have it with dhamma, and you can have it with kasra, and can you also have a fakku idgham? Can you? Okay. Okay. What about this one? The ruddu, the ruddu, the same can apply here, that you can have it with fatha dhamma kasra and with fakku idgham, right? And the same here, and the same here, and the same with nahnu. Is this clear to all of you? Al- So you are going to, in case of, in case of your, in case of your mudare, when it gets majzoom, when it gets majzoom, you should be able to see, you should be able to have the same options as you are seeing for your fail, for your fail, failul amr. Okay, when it is, when the failul amr is formed, similarly you are going to see the same thing, same changes in case of your fail mudare majzoom. There should be same options that are going to be there for your mudare majzoom as there are options that are given to your failul amr when they are majzoom. Okay? Yeah? Got it? Right? Alhamdulillah. Okay. So now you have um something more here in case of, you learned, your rudda, ruddi, rudu and urdud, right? They can be four options. Four options. Okay? So, sir. So let me just yes, the four options are only going to be for Nasara clan. As they are for Felul Amr for Nasara clan. When it comes to Daraba and Samia, how many options are going to be there? There are going to be only three options, right? Because they can only take Fatha and Kasra, right? I just told you, right? And then there can be a Faku Idgham. But rest, the options are not available there, right? Okay? Everyone with me so far? Alhamdulillah? Alhamdulillah. Okay, so we are going to take our time now and we are going to spend some time understanding which rule is being applied here on each and every one of them. Okay, so now you have halla, word halla. You are going to tell me the the number of the rule which is being applied on word. Okay, how halla is going to be halla. Rule number one, right? The rule that has been applied to halla is rule number one. Everyone agrees with that, right? So even if this halla is from Samia clan, does it going to be, will it look the same? Even if the word is from Samia, right? Why so? Because the Vadda or Massa, they are looking the same as Halla or Radda, because the first, the Ainul Kalima lost its haraka and got merged into the second word. So, anyways, you cannot see it. So, there is no way of knowing if this is from Nasara clan, from Samia clan, or from Daraba clan, right? They will look the same. The fail Madin of all three clans is going to now look the same. How many of you understood this? The rule in fail Madin that is being applied to the first word, and it's going to be the case with the first five words of fail Madin table, is going to be rule number one, where the first of the two identical is going to lose its haraka and become sakin and get fused into the second letter, as we are seeing in word halla. The second word, this is dara, just think about it as in the Daraba clan. This is being written for Daraba clan, Yahillu. So think about it from coming from the Daraba clan. Now tell me, what was the original form? What was the original form of this word if it is coming from Daraba clan? What was the original spelling? It should be Yahlilu, right? Yahlilu. Yahlilu. What happened here? What happened here? Here, you are all, as you are telling me, the rule number two got applied. Why so? Because your two similar, which were mutaharrik, were preceded by a letter that was sakin. There was a nakal, and then there was idgham, right? In after intiqal, you are seeing an idgham, right? Is this clear to all of you so far? In word hillan, in word hillan, give me the rule number. Which rule is being applied to word hillan? Okay, is it rule number one or rule number four? See, in the ism, see rule number four. That's why I sent you this slide, and I made the slide for you guys. So see here, and let me number it for you all, so that it is super duper clear for all my students. Rule number one, rule number two, rule number three, rule number four, and rule number five. So the first was sakin. The first was sakin, and the second was mutaharrik. So there is a merging. So you can say here very easily that here rule number four got applied because the first one was sakin. Okay, so let's see here. I was doing the Hilla table, so I will take you to Hilla. Okay, okay, here. Now, very interesting word is right in front of you. Halun. So here, which rule is being applied? And now give me the original form of the word. If there was no mudaf, how would you, and if we never knew that there was any idgham, what will be the original form of the word? It would have been halilun, right? Halilun, right? So halilun, the first lam, which was maksura, which was maksur, it lost its kasra and got merged into the second lam, right? Halilun became halun, right? Everyone got it? Now, so this is going to be rule number 3 again, or there is something, yeah, rule number 3, right? It is rule number 3. This is rule number 4. I hope this is everyone is with me so far. In case of hulla, in case of hulla, which rule is being applied? You know this table. I know every one of you know this table, how to recite this table by heart, right? So in case of hulla, it was originally what? It was originally hulila. Think about it. It was originally hulila. So hulila became hulla because the lam that was written with kasra lost its haraka and get merged into the second letter. We are going to call that here rule number 1 is being applied because your letter before the first of the two identical is mutaharik, right? Ha was mutaharik. Do you all agree? So this is an example of rule number 1, right? It is an example of rule number 1. Is everyone with me? You are just going to think about it like hulila and apply your rule number 1. You know that two identical came together, both have a haraka, but the letter before them is also with a haraka, so the first lam is going to lose its haraka and get merged into the second lam. In case of yuhallu, original form, what was the original form? Original form was yuhlalu. Yuhlalu. Again, you are going to say the same what happened to the mudare malum. In what happened to mudare malum is going to be applied. The same rule is going to be applied to mudare majhul, right? Rule number 2. Easy. Hillan is should be easy. Hillan should be easy in case of mahlul. In case of mahlulun, do you see any rule when there are two letters, that are identical, both are mutaharik, but they're not next to each other? Is any rule among the 5 that I gave you talk about the letters that have been separated and are not written together? No. So there is no rule, right? There is no rule. It follows the pattern of a normal ism of ul, right? Mahlul. Easy. So we just need to learn by heart the first 5 rules. In case of ihlil, where there is a fakku idgham, you are noticing that it is just like a regular failul amr, like idrib, 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 right? But when the words are together, this one is normal, right? Ihlil is normal. But hilla, hilli, which rule is being applied to hilla and hilli? You are going to tell me. We are going to apply our rule number 5, where our second lam lost its haraka, and now have to have a haraka. It can be either fatha or kasra in case of Samia and Daraba clan. In case of Felun Nahi, you are going to see the same thing, rule number 5 being applied to La Tahilla, La Tahilli. However, in case of Tahlil, is there any rule? Is there any rule? When there is Fakku Idgham, it is behaving like a regular regular felu nahi of bab daraba, right? There is no rule. There is just fakku idgham. Okay? With fakku idgham, there is no rule. Easy? Now, mahallun. When you see mahallun, what was the original spelling of mahallun? You are looking at your ism zarf. Give me your zuruf. Give me the spellings of your zuruf that are there in your family one. So the first one is maf'alun. Maf'alun. In maf'alun, are both ain and lam kalima mutaharrik? Are they both mutaharrik? Ain and lam? Both are mutaharrik. Maf'alun. Ain and lam. Maf'alun. Right? Both are mutaharrik, right? My dear sisters, right? Both have a haraka. First one has ain has a fatha and lam can have fatha dhamma kasra based on the status, right? Both are mutaharrik, going to be mutaharrik. So here, but the before the two identical letters that were mutaharrik, you saw a sakin. You saw a sakin. So which rule is going to be applied now? It is going to be R2, right? It's going to be R2, rule number 2. Oh my God. I didn't mean to remove this. I just mean to add. Okay, for your ease, I'm going to just, add it here. Rule number 2. In case of mahillun, what did we do? It was spelled as maf'ilun, and Sister Diba and is writing the spelling, the original forms. What were we expecting to be there? And then we found an idgham, and it is not just a pure idgham. There are stages. There are two stages. This idgham has gone through. There have been two processes applied here. One was there was a knuckle, and my sister Shamim is also typing, so you also follow some of the stuff here as well on the chat as here. So the first one is original form is mahlilun. The first lam of the two identical gave its haraka to ha, and ha became mutaharrik with a kasra, and then the lam got merged into the second lam. So we ended up with mahillun, right? Excuse me. The last, the last zarf, the last zarf of your family one, in case of hal and lam, is going to be mahallatun, and which rule is being applied? The rule applied is going to be rule number 2. So in case of zarf, the only rule that you are seeing being applied to all three zuruf is going to be rule number 2. How many of you are with me so far? Alhamdulillah, it's easy or it's too complicated for you guys? I hope it's you are everyone is finding it easy, right? Okay. Now you have masa, and in case of masa I have the full table for you guys. So it also has ism ala as well, so it's going to be easy for you to practice ism ala too. So but original spelling you can only figure out by knowing the original spelling. If you know that your ism zarf is maf'alatun, then you have to put your ha on fa kalima, your first lam on ainul kalima, and your last lam on lamul kalima, right? So this is how things work, right? So if you know the pattern of the word, the ozan, the what is the pattern of the word basically, it should be super duper easy. Okay, that you, if it was, when I say the original, I actually all the time I'm doing it with my sisters in my word to word translation group. I tell them this, for a long time I've been sometimes we I go over these words with people. Like if I show them tabba, if I show them tabba, or I may have done it with you guys, that, when I was showing you word tabba, what was the original form? I would have said the original form, that this, think of this word as this, tababa. Very good job. So nasara or daraba, whatever it is coming from, so it just, open it up. It is tababa. So it is, the tababa became tabba, right? So nasara, in case of madda, you have to think about it like madada, right? Easy. Is it clear? So when I'm saying that, original form, it means that, you were expecting it to be like madada, but here we are learning mudaf and the rules of mudaf, so the changes happened. Okay? So this is how you are going to just, put each letter on its position on the mold that has been provided to you in your term 2 when you were taught surf. If you just put those letters on the mold given to you in term 2, it's going to be, or actually it was not term 2, it was term 3 when we did our surf, right? So just think about it like that. Okay? So now, if I tell you this massa comes from Samia, it comes from Samia, so it was originally Masisa, right? What was the original form of Massa? Give me the original form. It is Masisa, right? If I'm saying that this is coming from Samia clan, then it should be Masisa. Why it is Massa written here? Why it is Massa written here? Because the first letter is supposed to lose its haraka according to rule number 1 and have to merge into the second letter, and it has become Massa. In case of Yamassu, again, start from the start. Give me the original form. Yamsasu, Yamsasu, and when you see Yamsasu, you will know by yourself that the two letters are mutaharrik, and a letter before is sakin. Now I have to apply my rule number 2 as Ishrat is typing, right? Here, Faiza and Ishrat are saying that I'm going to apply rule number 2 on my word yamassu, right? Because meme was originally sakin, and therefore there has to be a nakal wal idgham, right? Easy? When you have your word massan, when you have your word massan, which rule should be applied? From the 4 rules that you just have been taught, you are going to take rule number 4. It is an ism. It is an ism. There will have been no possibility of idgham in an ism, even when the two letters were mutaharrik, even with the two, if it was masasan, if it was originally masasan, will there be a possibility of idgham? There is no possibility of idgham in an ism if Ainul Kalima is mutaharrik, because this is an exception of your rule number 1. So here what got applied here is in word massan, there is a shadda that I'm missing here. There is a shadda that I'm missing in word massan. There is rule number 4 that got applied, right? Rule number 4 got applied when when two letters are together and they're identical, mutamasil. First is sakin, you just fuse it into the second letter. The two letters get merged. The first letter get merged into the second letter. It gets fused into the second letter. When you see masun, what is happening? There were two letters, mutaharrik, preceded by a sakin. You apply your rule number 3, where there is idgham, but there is no nakal, because the letter that is sakin before is a mad letter. Because the letter that is sakin now is a mad letter, there cannot be any transfer of haraka. Okay? In case of musa or yumasu, things should be easy, right? And in case of masan, again the same thing. In case of mamsus, any rule? No rule, right? So in case of massa, masi, which rule? Massa, masi are following rule number 5 of muda'af. In case of imsas, any rule? In case of normal, very good answer. This is normal. Imsas is following a regular pattern of Bab Samia. In case of La Tamassa, La Tamassi, La Tamsas, La Tamassa, La Tamassi, rule number 5, right? Where when the last scene became majzoom and lost its haraka, you have to put a haraka on it, and when the letters are written together, it can be either fatha or a kasra in case of Samia and Daraba. In case of Fakku Idgham, the word is going to be written normal. There's no rule being applied here. Okay. In case of your Ism Ala, in case of your Ism Ala, when you see Mimassun, Mimassun, which rule is being applied? Rule number 2 is being applied. In case of Mimassatun, Mimassatun, again, it seems like you are applying rule number 2, like mif'alun, mif'alatun, mif'alun. When it comes to mif'alun, is there any rule being applied to ism ala when the pattern is mif'alun? And what is the reason, Dilruba? Why are we not applying our idgham rule here? Why is this devoid of a rule? Because the rule, the two similar, no, 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 not because of the mud letter, because the two similar have been separated, as Shamim has said. Because the two similars are not right adjacent to each other. Not adjacent, right? As Musart is saying, right? They are not adjacent, they are not right next to one another, they're not side by side. Yeah, so this is the reason where why you are not applying any idgham and the word is written as in its original form. So is this clear? So, and they are together. This word together you will find in the slide. Okay. So each and every word you will find, it's very important that how each and every word that is written on your slide is going to make some sense, inshallah. And it's going to make things super duper easy for you guys, inshallah. Okay. So now, um, let's just do some family Mazid fihi. Okay, let's just practice some Mazid fihi. Are you okay with Salasi Mujarrad, the three families? Everyone is comfortable with that? How many of you understood? There are, few of you. So I hope each and every one of you is comfortable with family one. So let's just practice then family two. Start with family two. So you have Ra Lam Lam, and this word has been used in Quran. So I just particularly you chose this word to teach you. So in case of Zallala Yuzallilu Tazlilan Muzallilun Zullila Yuzallalu Tazlilan Fahuwa Muzallalun Zallil La Tuzallil Fahu and Wazarfu Minhu Muzallalun. Do you notice anything that is any rule being applied, or it's just there's no change, right? There is no five among the five rules that we have spent time on. Alhamdulillah, we have spent more than an hour on learning these rules, but this is going to be in the regular form. This is very normal. There is no anomaly here, right? Is this clear to everyone? So many of my students, because I have been, doing this for a few years now, not for many years, I would say, not as much as I want to do it for, but many people still get confused between family 4 and family 2. Anytime a family 4 word is shown to them from Mudaf, they call it family 2 word, and that really upsets me very quickly, because I keep on, I just lose my calm at that time, which I should not do. But it happens. But remember, in family 2, it is very regular. It is as regular as it can be. Okay. So I don't think we need to spend more time here. Okay. Let's go to family 3. And we have 5 minutes. In case of family 3, Hajja. And this word, very important. Very important. It is used in Quran. So I want you to be very smart with this word and learn this word. Okay. So rule number 3 being applied. Why so? So I'm going to write it down for you. And inshallah, I hope my slides are ready by tonight and I share with you. So same way, I'm writing rule number 3. You should have it on your papers, rule number 3. Okay? Right? There's two letters, both mutaharrik. Hajaja. Original form was hajaja, like jahada. Hajaja. Hajaja. Both mutaharik, both same. However, preceded by a mad letter. There is no nakal, there is only idgham after the first letter lost its haraka. The first letter lost its haraka and then there is idgham, and this rule is rule number 3. The second word, yuhaju. What is happening here? Which rule is being applied? The same, the same thing. Everything. Original form was yuhajiju. Original form was yuhajiju, right? Yuhajiju was the original form. I applied rule number 3 because both were mutaharrik, preceded by a mad letter which was alif, and the first letter lost its haraka, the jim lost its kasra, because there is no ue sound here anymore, except for in do we do I will I ever get a ue sound in this case? Can I ever get ue sound in the entire mudare table? Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm talking about entire mudare table. Just think about it. Yuhaju, yuhajani, yuhajuna, tuhaju, tuhajani, yuha, yuha. What will happen to when there is nunu niswa attached? What will happen? Yuha, jijina. Yuha, jijina. There will be fakku idgham, right? So I will get back my kasra there on the jeen. Keep that in mind, right? When there is fakku idgham with nunu niswa, you will get your kasra on jeen in that case, right? It will be spelled like a normal case. It is not following any rule. It is just acting normally, right? So Sadiba, everyone with me? Shaheen, Husne Ara, everyone got it? When it comes to jihadan, jihadan, when it comes to jihadan, do you notice something? There is no rule. It is normal. Why so? Because the letters are not right next to one another. There is no rule being applied to masdar hijajan. But when it comes to mufa'alatan, mufa'alatan, muhajajatan, what happened here? Why is it written as muhajatan? Because of the rule number 3. Very good job. Two letters together preceded by a mud letter. I am going to apply on this masdar rule number 3, right? Muhajatan, I will apply rule number 3. And in case of muhajun, what is going to be applied? Again, you want to apply your rule number 3 very easily because you have two letters that were the same and they were preceded by a mat letter. In case of your huja, when you have huja, what is being applied? Again, you have your rule number 3 because the two similar mutaharrik were preceded by again a mad letter which was waw madiyya, right? Waw madiyya. And in case of yuhaju, the same thing is being applied. But you notice one thing here. What is difficult here? What is the difficulty? And is there any confusion here? Look at your ma'loom, fail mudare ma'loom and majhool. Yes, there is a qalb here. Yes, there is sister Diba is saying that there is a qalb of alif of fail madin into waw. So there is one of the ilal rules that is being seen or applied here as well. Yes. So in case of yuhaju, fail mudare ma'loom and majhool are going to look the same. Are going to look the same in our next session, which is going to be as we have not been able to cover our mudaf completely, which is again going to be another practice session. Inshallah, we are going to see more examples from Quran and I will show you how, the different connotations, and because the spellings are the same, you can treat it as fail mudare maloom, you can treat it as fail mudare majhool, and it's going to make things so interesting. So inshallah, I'm looking forward to Saturday, inshallah. So with that, I will end the session today since our time is up. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear students. Take care.